Hello everybody and welcome back to a brand new video on Hypixel Skyblock. So in Skyblock, the mage class has seen tons of different weapons seen throughout the use of dungeons. And today I'm going to be showing you guys a weapon that is completely forgotten, but which is actually completely overpowered. What is this weapon? Well, this is the Yeti sword. So this is the Yeti sword, and this was provided to me by my friend SuperBuilder65. So the Yeti sword was widely used in dungeons at the very beginning, but very quickly weapons like the Spirit Scepter and the Midas Staff completely replaced this sword. However, the sword is not that bad, and when you pair it with a specific pet, which is even more forgotten, well, this becomes absolutely broken. So what is this forgotten pet? Well, it is the legendary Baby Yeti pet. So barely anyone buys the Baby Yeti pet for its legendary perk, Yeti Fury. The only people who buy legendary Yeti are people who want to get all of the 100 legendary pets. And this is because the last perk has been seen as tremendously useless because it buffs the Yeti sword, and most people think that the Yeti sword sucks in the first place. Well, let's take a look at that perk. So as you can see, it buffs the Betty sword by 100 base damage and 100 intelligence. After the recent strength nerf, base damage is really important, and this greatly buffs the Yeti sword. As you can see with the Yeti pet, the Yeti sword climbs to 280 damage, which is really good, and I put it on suspicious to balance out the strength and the critical damage. As you can see with all of this sword has an amazing mixture of intelligence, damage, strength, and critical damage. Everything you need to do large amounts of left click mage damage. Now to top this all off, the Yeti sword also has an ability. Now this was the main reason why the Yeti sword was used originally, because of this ability. It does quite a bit of damage, but it does far less than other weapons, like a Midas Staff. However, this ability is still really good, and now let's see if the Yeti sword lives up to the hype that I've just introduced. Let's take it for a spin in a dungeon run. However, before that, I'll be going over my gear, because when I showed off the aspect of the dragons, a lot of people was asking me about my gear. So for the Yeti sword, I recommend having Shadow Goggles or Wither Goggles for the RCM damage, and you should put these on Ancient, but I just have them on Necrotic. And you have a Loving Storms chestplate, or whatever chestplate should be on Loving. And the 2 forward should be Ancient Storm for a nice LCM damage. So this is a really good combination armor set. And of course the pet you're going to be using is a level 100 legendary Baby Yeti. And this costs about 50 million coins right now. So paired with the Yeti sword, this whole setup costs about 100 mil, which is 5 times cheaper than the Hyperion. So let's do a comparison. Alright everyone, so now I'm in a floor 6 dungeon run. I think floor 6 is a good floor to test this out on, because although this weapon is good, it's not going to get you very far in floors like Master Mode. This guide is meant to give a good alternative for players that cannot afford weapons like a Hyperion and a Midas Staff. So don't expect to be able to do Master Mode with this weapon, but still see how it performs on floor 6. So for this, the class you want to play is Mage class. And the reason for this is because it reduces the cooldown of abilities. The Yeti sword only has a 1 second cooldown, and this gets reduced to only 0.3 seconds with this perk. So let's see it in action. Let's get some speed going, and let's see. So as you can see right off the bat, I'm able to clear very well with the Yeti sword, and I'm very tanky. I mean, look at that. Everything is just dying. So as you can see, it's already doing about 9 million damage with the RCM with this basic setup, and it's doing about 2.8 base. Comparatively, the Hyperion has 2 mil base damage. So as you can see, it's actually doing more right-click damage than a Hyperion, which is kind of crazy. So now let's do a quick comparison with the LCM. As you can see, the Yeti sword is going to do about 12 million damage left-click mage. Hyperion is going to do 15 mil LCM. So as you can see, the RCM is better than Hyperion, but the LCM is only about 3 mil damage off from a Hyperion. So now let's go into this massive room of mobs and see how it is. So let's go like this, and as you can see, you can walk and go like this and everything dies. Boom, look at that, this is so good. And as you can see, we just killed that Shadow Assassin without even thinking about it. There's a Shadow Assassin there, and it just instantly died from all that RCM damage. So now let's try it on a mini boss, which is this Lost Adventurer right here. So you can use the RCM when it's far, and look at that. It's kind of good. And this gets even better, because the Yeti sword, as you can see, has a really long range. Like, look at how far that went. Now, this comes with an unexpected perk. Suppose you see a mini boss really far away from you. Well, you can run like this. These projectiles will hit the mini boss as it's coming towards you. Then you can finish it off with the LCM. And this is a combo that is really good, that you cannot do with the Hyperion. So as you can see from that footage, the Yeti sword is extremely dominant in RCM and LCM gameplay. You're really tanky with the baby Yeti pet, and at the same time, you can hit mini bosses and mobs from a distance, and then you can finish them off when you go nearer, which is a really good dynamic to have with this sword. In general, I'd say this sword is extremely comparable to Hyperion in raw damage output, and it doesn't have some of the drawbacks of items like a Midas Staff because it does not block other players' hits. Overall, I'd say that if you're trying to save up for Hyperion and you're a mage, I absolutely recommend the combo of the baby Yeti pet, the legendary baby Yeti, and the Yeti sword. This is a really powerful combo, which is pretty much better than Hyperion for raw damage output. And yeah, I'll see you guys all later. Bye!